Namaskar. This is Seshu Chira. Welcome you back to Hanska Academy. So today we'll be looking into grade 7 topic, New Kings and Kingdom. Please consider subscription to my channel. Thank you very much for all those who have subscribed. Let me present my screen. So today's topic is the New Kings and Kingdom. This is the second chapter in grade 7 history. So let us first look at the learning objectives. What will students learn after they go through the lesson New Kings and Kingdoms? Students will be able to explain the emergence of new kings, kingdoms during the medieval period. So during the medieval period, how did the new kings emerge and established their kingdoms? That the students will be able to explain after the lesson is done. They will also be able to explain the administration during the medieval period and what is a prashasti and a land grant. They will discuss about the warfare for wealth, and we will have a close observation or a case study on the Cholas administration, their splendid temples, agriculture and irrigation. So once the students will be able to finish reading this chapter, they should be able to tell you how the new kingdoms have emerged. They should be able to analyze the administration during the medieval period, what is a prashasti and a land grant. They will be able to discuss about the warfare for wealth, and we will have a close look, a case study on the Cholas administration. So let us look at the subtopic. The subtopics of this chapter will be the emergence of new dynasties, the administration in the kingdoms, prashastis and land grants, warfare for wealth, and a closer look or a case study of the Cholas. We have a small activity. Those who are teaching this chapter, for the teachers, I would like to give this suggestion. Let us start any chapter in history with some kind of activity, so that it will be very interesting for the children and they will get familiar with the terms. So here I have chosen an activity like ask the students to identify any one kingdom. Let us say it Chahmanas, Chandelas, Palas, Rashtrakutas. So let us have one activity before we introduce the topic or we start the lesson. Let us make children aware with what is happening. So I have taken one activity. This is my thought process. You can also take a different activity. It is up to you. So I have asked them to select one particular kingdom and write the rivers in that region and also the boundaries, so that they will come to know that there are different kingdoms and the river names are same, so they can correlate with that. So like that, it can be a 2-minute activity or a 5-minute activity, but quickly children can do this one. So after you finish this activity, you can ask them the kingdom's names, what they have chosen, what are the boundaries, so the children will get familiar with the kingdom's names, which is very, very important. So now coming to emergence of the new dynasties. So it was in the 7th century that the existing big landlords or huge land area under their control are considered as landlords who are very rich, or a warrior chief who is very skilled in the war affairs or warfare, these people played a dominant role in any king or kingdom's sustenance. So, even the kings who were there during that time acknowledged these people as subordinates or samantas. So, these people are taken into consideration, and these people are recognizing the talent of the warrior chiefs. And once the king acknowledges and make them as subordinate, they can be called as subordinates or samantas. Once they are called as subordinates or samantas, they are expected to fulfill certain duties, certain responsibilities. So what the king used to expect from these people is gifts from the rich landlords or big landlords, and from the warrior chiefs he used to expect them support in the military. So the military support has to be provided by these subordinates or samanta. So once the king recognizes these people and announces them as subordinates or samantas, then the king is expecting these people to give him gifts and also support him with the military whenever it's needed. So when the samantas already have wealth and they are having military, once they grew stronger, definitely they would become very powerful. So they are acquiring more wealth and military because they have to support the king that has been made as a duty by the king. So they were in that process over a period of time. Let us say in 10 years, 15 years, they emerge to be very, very powerful and also rich. So they have their own army, their own resources, their own lands. So then they declared themselves as Maha Samantas, a greater Samanta, greater than just Samanta. They called themselves as Maha Samanta, and they can used to call them as Maha Mandaleshwara, which means the circle of the lands where they are very rich. Their influence is growing. The simple logic is that they are becoming powerful and they started to acquire wealth and army into their hands powerfully. Once they have power and wealth, they declared themselves as Maha Samanta or Maha Mandaleshwara. So once they are declaring themselves as Maha Samanta, it's a clear indication that very soon they are going to declare themselves as independent. Very soon they want to overthrow their warlord. So they used to ascertain their independence from their warlord. So one such example which we are taking in grade 7 is Rashtrakutas in the Deccan region. So in this part of the session, we learned that during the 7th century, because we are taking the medieval period, the big landlords or warrior chiefs were recognized by the kings and acknowledged them as subordinates or samanta. Once the king acknowledges them, they have to give him gifts in the court or provide him military support. Once they gain power and wealth, they call themselves as Maha Samantas or Maha Mandaleshwara. After some time, looking at the time when the king is becoming weak, they used to ascertain their independence. One such example we are taking in this chapter is Rashtrakuta in the Deccan region. So this is for learning, and my dear students, for you to write a concept map, I thought it is very, very important to have a concept map for every topic what we are learning. So I made a concept map with very few words for you to copy and remember the concept clearly. You can add on if you need it. I just made one draft for you so that you can be able to copy it quickly once the lesson is done. So once you listen to the topic, immediately you copy the subheading, the emergence of the new dynasties. Then you can draw 5 lines below that, or you can use a diagram. It's up to you. So 7th century, I kept big landlords. Then big landlords were recognized by the king, so they are called Samantas. Once king calls them Samantas, what they have to do? They have to give gift and military support. So Samantas, once they gain power and wealth, they call themselves as Maha Mandaleshwara or Maha Samanta, and they used to declare their independence. The case study Rashtrakutas. So like this, if you can draw a mind map, actually this is not a mind map, this is a concept map, so which can help you to remember the topic very clearly, easily with small words. 7th century landlords, Samantas, gift, power, wealth, independence. So like this 5-6 words, if you remember, you should be able to write 5 to 6 points easily and clearly once the question is given to you. So now you can write the question for today. How did the new dynasties emerge during the 7th century? So you can write these 5 points and give one example. That will be your question for today before I wrap it up and close it. So a quick mind map is given to you today. A lesson is taught, a subtopic, the learning objectives are discussed, an activity is being given. So hope you all will like this way of teaching and it will create some interest among the learners. Thank you very much for watching my video. Please consider subscription. Thank you for all those who have subscribed.